Here's the question that somebody posed before. Is living intentionally different from living in belief of a particular God or a particular religion? And my answer to the question is very simple. Living intentionally is a form of living, is an art. It has nothing to do with being religious or being a particular believer of a particular religious group. A particular religious group teaches you how to hopefully live life in harmony with yourself, meaning how you can actually achieve a meaningful life, because that's all we are attempt to achieve here on earth, to pursue life in a more meaningful way so that we may live to enjoy life as it is accorded to us, meaning that you want to be able to have enough food in your table, enough money to cover your obligations, enough money to enjoy life. Those things that are not, they are part of your life. They add value to your life, going on vacation, living life in a particular way, and all that stuff. All of these, we go to church and we go and pray God, and in hope that through those activities we call or we do at church, will afford us the privilege of having that type of life. And for most people is this idea of heaven, where if I do right here on earth, I will go to heaven and not hell. It's not my place to start describing or explaining one of the two. But to answer the question that was asked, living his intention is not contrary to any of those philosophies. In fact, it enhances those philosophies in a more practical and meaningful manner. Where I say, in terms of living intention, is an element of art and science of living in this manner. You decide how you should experience life instead of allowing the environment and conditions that you will encounter to decide for you. A very simple example. The other day I had an appointment. Me and my wife were supposed to meet particular people at a particular government office. But the day when we went to the day we made the appointment, that eventually in this particular day we were going for it, we arrived there for government service. And we were told that there was nobody in the line, there was nobody who was receiving any services, but they told us they cannot attend to us unless we have an appointment. And I wonder, can you just help us with this situation? Because we're here already and I don't see anybody who's receiving services. And these government officials were just mingling around talking because there's no client to serve. But they said their policy is simple. You have to make an appointment. So we made an appointment. And here we are on the day of appointment. We were running late. Traffic was not favorable and we we didn't leave early enough. So I looked at the time, we're about going to be half an hour later to the appointment. I was starting to panic. I'm like, I saw the experience we had yesterday. These guys are very strict. Even when there was nobody to serve, yet they didn't want to serve us unless we had an appointment. And they were just hanging around, nothing else to do. They were just joking, laughing, giving high five to each other. They didn't want to attend to us. And here we are going to be late. I think it's going to be terrible. So a lot of things were going on in my mind in relating to that particular incident. But I reminded myself as I was about to go on a haywire, because your mind has a tendency to exaggerate things. What it does, it puts you in this mode. It calls you to think for the worst, but hope for the best. That's what the mind does. And it's something that is ingrained us from the time when we used to live in caves. So it is not anything new. It's a nature of the mind, but any nature can be overcome. I wouldn't call it actually a nature. It's a habit of the mind. A habit is not a law. It can be recreated. So in that moment, it was a lesson to me. I realized I am putting myself in a place of unknown without having all the facts. The fact is, yes, I am late. But is it true that they're not going to be able to see me? I was so anxious. My driving was poor. I was not driving comfortable. I was feeling unease. And I was trying to tell my wife, why don't you call them and see if we're going to make it? Because we don't want to drive that far. It was a 45 minutes drive. So that we don't want to drive 45 minutes just to find out they cannot see us. But then I'm like, calm down, Alpha. You are in charge. You want to experience this situation with anxiety, or you want to experience with peace? And for a brief moment, I took a breathing test. I just breathe in and out. I focus on my breathing. That's the living intention. I define my goal. My goal is to be in that appointment, to resolve the issue in question on that day. Once I made clear that, I said to myself then, it is my intention to drive there safely, to be able to be seen as envisioned and receive the service that I need to receive. I reaffirmed that in my mind through breathing and thinking and visualization, and eventually I found peace, and I drove peacefully all the way to the location. I didn't want to bother my wife to call it anymore or anything else. But when we got there, we found out, actually I dropped my wife first. I said, let me drop you off and let me look for a parking. And she texted me, she said, oh, there's a long line here of people waiting for the service. And therefore, don't even worry, we are right on time. And by the time we were seen, it was 45 minutes past our appointment time. And yet we were seen and received the service. No questions asked. Here I was. I could have worried. I could have got into a road rage with somebody who trying to just run, to rush just like me. And who knows what that situation would have escalated to. But I avoided all of that by exercising how to live intentionally, which simply is identify your goal and define the intent that will cause you to achieve that goal. I stayed true to the fact that I wasn't even speeding. I decided not to rush. I calmed down and I drove at pace, and I arrived there just on time. So always, let's be mindful. To live intentionally, actually, it's an further elaboration of those principles that you learn in church, in a mosque, in a synagogue, in a temple. Is a way of how you take control of your life so you can focus and allow the God in you to actually be in charge, to lead the way, to bring you to a place where you want to in a more meaningful and successful manner, as I experienced in that very simple example. I hope that answered the question. It is not a contour, it's not a new belief system, it's not a new dogma, nor a new religion. It is just a simple way of thinking, which all religious are advocating, to think the right way, or righteous thinking. Righteous thinking is simply right thinking. And living intentionally, it enforces, encourages, promotes that type of thinking. I hope that makes sense. Please share this video, like it, subscribe, comments if you need, and if you have more questions, please shoot it to me, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And until then, I'll be back.